Hey, this is episode 11 of Manga Masterclass, and in this video, I'll be going over a very short, but in my opinion, pretty good series, Diasporaiser. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's start with a basic overview. Diasporaiser is a manga with just 15 chapters by Nukui Ondori that lasted just over 3 months, having started in the 15th of September and ended on the 22nd of December. It was serialized in Jump Plus, and all 15 chapters were collected into 2 volumes that are currently not translated into English, but I think they might receive a digital manga someday, as most of the actual translation has already been done, as it and all manga these days are simultaneously published in English as they are in Japanese. So I think it might be worth Viz or whatever other publisher that wants to have Diasporaiser to just finish the job, but of course that's just a theory of mine, nothing is confirmed. Also, if you can read Italian, there's an Italian print available right now. Anyways, next I'll give you a brief reminder of what actually happened in the story. Firstly, the story starts out with some kid overhearing some bad guys saying they'll rob some old guy. So the kid goes to the old man's house to warn him, but the old man starts blabbering about the kid being a cosmic sorcerer, and later the old man turns out to be right. In fact, the kid is one of the strongest cosmic sorcerers out there. But then the bandits from before attack, and turns out they got lent some of that cosmic sorcerer power, but the grandpa seems to be someone that kills cosmic sorcerers with a shotgun. But then we see the true power of the kid, and let's just say he's in a different league. But at the end of the first chapter, the grandpa keeps blabbering on about the kid becoming his successor. Alright, to not drag this segment on too long, I'll only mention the remaining arcs. Next is the attack from someone who seems to have worked for the kids. I'll just call him Nikozuta, and wants to bring him back to the true way of the spirit of a cosmic sorcerer. Next is the Hell's Merchant, who is actually the only arms dealer on the planet, aka the only person selling weapons with cosmic powers, who initially wants to kill Nikozuta, but in the same chapter decides he's just fine. Next is when the crew goes to negotiate to learn more about the magic light bulbs, and then they kill someone who sells light bulbs. Or more accurately, they leave her in complete isolation, making her pretty much go insane. But the next arc is the best and most interesting arc in the entire series, in my opinion. It's the, what I like to call, the musician arc, where in short, the grandpa and Nikozuta meet this other cosmic sorcerer who, for one, is the mentor of Nikozuta, and two, who is making every human a cosmic sorcerer. That arc was actually really interesting, and the fight ending with the mentor finally understanding why Nikozuta chose the path he did, that was actually really good. And at the very end of the series, the grandpa and Nikozuta fight a bunch of zombies and win, and although Nikozuta says he won't become his successor, he will see the grandpa's story to the end. Alright, now, onto the good and bad. Back when I started reading this manga, which, fun fact, was among my first 5 manga that I ever read, I really underappreciated the art. When I was making the script for this video, I had to go back and reread parts of the manga, and when I was doing that, I started to realize that the art was genuinely one of the best art styles that I've ever seen while reading manga. It mostly gets great during the fight / when Nikozuta transforms into cosmic sorcerer mode, but the art style before the fight is also really good. Also, the first color page was fucking awesome. Look at this. I also thought the comedy was pretty funny, especially the successor gag. Although that was also probably the most overused gag, it was still pretty funny, at least to me. Or more accurately, it wasn't exactly the successor thing, but it was the grandpa that was funny. Speaking of which, the grandpa was my favorite character in the series, and it's honestly not even close. He's so transparent that it's funny, and he keeps everything so real that I was even taken aback at times. He's also the most straightforward character in the series, meaning whatever he thought of, he just said out loud, and that's an aspect that I really liked about him. But moving away from the grandpa, I think I'll name pretty much the only bad thing I can think of right now. It's the end. Well, it's not exactly bad in my opinion. It's more like it left me feeling unsatisfied. It had an open-ended ending, and this was slightly amplified because Diasporaiser was one of the first manga that I ever read, and only the second ending that I had ever read. The first was the ending of Fire Punch. So yeah, once again, not saying that it's bad, but it just left me feeling unsatisfied. But of course, you only have that many options when you are given about 2 chapters to make an ending, so you can't really win with that little options. Alright, the next thing that I want to talk about is the paneling. before I say anything else, just look at this. Imagine how cool it would be to have it physically and read with that paneling. That's so cool. But about general paneling, I think the author likes to have fun with the paneling a lot. Or at least that's the vibe I'm getting while reading the manga. And also, look at this double spread. This paneling is genius. The author fully utilized the knowledge of how a reader's eyes move while reading manga and took full advantage of it. But generally, the panels are big, letting the art do half of the talking, which is also an art in and of itself. Alright, to not drag this video on too long, I'll only have one more segment, which is the failed potential. I think Diasporaiser had a bunch of potential as a story. Like, everything so far had been done in about one city, while we were told there were cosmic sorcerers all throughout the world, and of course, all over space. But sadly, that potential will never be realized, as it got axed. Which, I want to mention about the axed a little bit more too. Apparently, it got axed because in Japan, it was extremely unpopular. But what makes this even weirder is that, if you remember, Diasporaiser got serialized in Jump Plus, which allows the authors to work without the ratings of a series being important, having to only think about the views. Unlike Weekly Shonen Jump, where ratings are like 90% of what decides if a series is going to survive. The remaining 10% are sales. So, what I mean by this is that with this system, Jump Plus normally allows the authors to write about 30 to 50 chapters easily without worrying about being cancelled. But the only exception that I can name myself is Diasporaiser. So it must have been really unpopular in Japan, which is a real shame because overseas it seems to have been actually pretty popular. Like with just 15 chapters, it had just under 500,000 views, while another currently serializing manga, Navigatoria, which I am also reading, has 35 chapters in total, 29 being actual chapters and 6 being extras, has a bit over 650,000 views. So if you did the math, that means that Diasporaiser had an average of 33.3 thousand views per chapter, while Navigatoria has an average of 18.5k views per chapter. You know, I'm getting really off topic. Alright, in short, I think this manga actually had a great premise, pretty good characters, really good art, and great potential. And I think it's a real shame it got axed. Alright, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like and subscribe. And this was episode 11 of Manga Masterclass. And in the next episode of Manga Masterclass, I'll be talking about the first sports manga of the series, Dog's Red. So, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. See ya! Oh, the author had a Twitter page. Let's check it out. You know, maybe it's better that the manga ended.